Over Christmas, I was cruising through the Nintendo eShop amidst all the junk that overcrowds their marketplace. Like seriously, who's in charge of quality control here? Anyways, I was browsing the eShop and I found a gem, the Borderlands Legendary Collection. I've never played a game like this before, and since I took a long break from gaming, I thought, hey, this seems like a great opportunity to play a game on a series I completely missed out on. Borderlands 1 came out nearly 15 years ago now, aside games like Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, and to be honest, during that time, MW2 was the only thing I played, so I missed out on a lot of quality games. And amongst all the smash hits that came out in 2009, Borderlands 1 still sold a respectable 6 million units, and established what is now an incredibly successful series.
Without a master, I have two options. I can listen to you move your disgusting meat flaps, or I can stick an electrode up my back panel and call it paradise. I will comply with what you need, then get out of my scan range.
Prepare yourself. Your next challenge awaits. It might seem insurmountable, but you can do this. You will prevail.
So, without further ado, I'm Cliff, from Clifnotes, and welcome to my retrospective on Borderlands 1 in 2024.
I command the bridge to descend!
Chapter 1, The Characters.
Funny thing about selling.
Borderlands 1 introduced some maniacs, some absolute scum of Pandora wild childs that encapsulated the life on Pandora and the world it has to offer. The story doesn't have too much to offer in terms of character development, and it actually has a pretty weak story, all things considered, but everyone has a personality.
You're going to need a partner who knows how to sell. A partner like me.
For example, we're introduced to Patricia Tannis pretty early on, an off-planet researcher who comes to Pandora to do research on the Vault, the elusive and legendary treasure chest our main character is searching for the majority of the game. Interestingly enough, Patricia's story arc doesn't come through the main story, but through bounty side missions you can collect at various outposts through the game. You're essentially running around Pandora, looking for the next tape that follows her descent into madness in the vast wasteland. By the end of the mission, you're listening to her discovering the truth that the Vault appears once every 200 years, while she loses her sanity and feels less and less as the rest of her research team loses their lives in the wasteland to the lawlessness that surrounds them. Just have a listen to this clip here.
Clint was an employee of mine, but I fired him for gross incompetence. When he left, he stole a fragment from me and punched my dog, which was the fourth and final part of the key. The fragment is part of the key, not my dog.
Chapter 2, Leveling System and Guns. As you begin your adventure to unlock the Vault on Pandora, you'll begin as low as you can go, level 1, and as you level up, you'll build your shield, health, and damage, so you inflict more punishment on your enemies. Since this was the first Borderlands I'd attempted in a while, it took me a little longer to understand the gameplay system that was at play. I first started trying some higher level side missions and immediately was punished by the high level bandits and raiders I was fighting against. It wasn't until I understood this mechanic that I started to make real progress, but this is where Borderlands 1 showed some of its weaknesses. It becomes visible that Borderlands emphasized more of a gameplay system than strong side mission content, and most of the side missions follow the cadence of go here, kill this, over and over. At times, some of the missions can feel like a rinse and repeat of the last one you just played, and you really have to grind to get good guns and advance the main story missions. Once I realized this, I found myself completing side mission after side mission, trying to level up my character to be ready for the next story mission. But this is where the guns become the savior of Borderlands. There's been few games that reward you with mega strong weapons that allow you to blow past your enemies so easily. About midway through the game, I found a smooth SMG with a light speed fire rate and reload speed. Critical hitting enemies never felt so good and rewarding, since you can seemingly do 10 times damage for accurate headshots, plus the addition of elemental damage that can eat away at enemies as you hide behind a rock or wall. Chapter 3, Gameplay Balancing. Since the guns and leveling feels so good, it's kind of disappointing that this also leads some to the largest unbalancing I've ever encountered in a game. For example, since the story assumes you're completing a balance of story missions and side missions, if you emphasize completing as many side missions as possible, you can pretty much walk through most of the main content. Since you have either garnered a beefy shield like me, or elected to play as Lilith and can basically phase walk through any difficult portion of the game. I actually found that phase walking through these levels was the easiest way to complete a mission, and the game doesn't force you to do much fighting in these areas because the enemies have poor aim and typically stick in one position. Once I discovered these workarounds, I was pretty much abusing each and every opportunity the game gave me to have a competitive advantage. Since this game came out in 2009, I won't go in too hard on how bad the enemy AI is, but it just makes me reflect on how reviewers would have a field day if this game came out in 2024. It really put in perspective of how high our standards have risen, and how much more normal gameplay balancing work developers have to put in to reach. Sorry for that little rant, but yeah, like I said, I was head glitching like crazy to finish off Taylor Rock in the boss battle nearing the final push to the Chapter 4. The bosses. One of the bright points of Borderlands would be the bosses. Since the world delves into the craziness of humanity, we get a plethora of insane individuals we can stack up against in some intense boss battles. One of my favorite boss battles was against Crom. What made Crom's battle so good was the sprawling canyon I had to navigate through to find him at the very end. There's a few different ways to approach this, while scaling down the obstructions Crom has set in the way as he fires down on you with a Gatling gun from above. However, one of the unique issues with Borderlands was that some of the bosses also suffered from poor AI of the other general bandits and raiders. Even though making my way to Crom was fun, taking him down in the end wasn't too hard. But as we get further in the game, and assuming you dive headfirst into main mission after main mission, you'll finally meet your match. For me, I met my match against Baron Flint. This boss battle was exhausting, since Baron Flint can nail me with a rocket launcher hit each time I poke my head up from cover. He also had a few minions that were formidable in themselves. I could whittle down this guy's health to about 25%, but he could still hit me with a few back-to-back shots to put me down. Admittedly, I got lucky when I won and got the victory I needed. A few other spotlights were the Rack Hive and the Destroyer. In this particular mission, the Rack Hive is spawning multiple racks that are on a suicide mission to take me down while I hit the weak points of the hive. While the racks were annoying, they did offer a good opportunity for a second chance since they'd swoop in for the kill while I was already down. The Rack Hive was the second biggest enemy I'd faced in the game yet, only to the next and final boss against the Destroyer. The Destroyer is a huge, squid-like boss that introduces himself by taking down Commandant Steele as we open the vault. I think I might have died once in this battle, but I can see how people would have had problems if they ran low on ammo. Most of the big battles engage in the hit the weak point gameplay, and in this one you gotta hit the eye of the Destroyer before he charges a blast that can significantly damage your health. Personally, I picked up a fast health regeneration shield towards the end of the game, and equipping this during the mission really helped me shrug off some big hits. Taking down the Destroyer was satisfying and really put a cap on all the work I put in to get to that very moment. I even got rewarded with a ton of amazing loot, and was even given a cutscene with the AI that speaks to you throughout the game as I finished things up.
Way. You did well, and your actions haven't gone unrewarded. The key won't open the vault for another 200 years, but I'm sure Tanis will pay you quite the fortune for it. Now go. I'll be watching.
All in all, Borderlands 1 was a phenomenon and deserves all the success it garnered. When you jump into the world of Borderlands, it's immediately apparent that a lot of thought was put into it. The art style, the guns, and the characters all play a large role in making the world of Pandora such a unique place. Truly though, this game was original in the fact that it didn't take itself too seriously and created a world with hilarious characters, all with unique personalities. In 2024, the game has some obvious bugs and poor enemy AI, but if you're just along for the ride, you'll find that this game has some amazing guns and a unique and addicting gameplay loop that could bring you back for more after you roll the credits. So, once again, I'm Cliff, with Clifnotes, and thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more video game essays and related content. Hasta la pasta.